Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Riesinger. Janelle has the night off. We want to get you up to date on the latest on the coronavirus outbreak and efforts to fend it off and keep it from spreading. Let's look at the latest numbers. First of all, according to the Johns Hopkins Resource Center, there are now 6,362 cases in the U.S. That number has grown by about 2,000 since just yesterday. Now, that's not totally unexpected because we knew that there would be more positive tests since more testing is now being done. Another person has tested positive here in Montana, bringing the number to 9 now. We're told the man in his 20s is from Gallatin County and recently traveled out of the country and is now self-isolating. And the number of cases in Wyoming has now grown to 15, including 2 more people from Sheridan. President Trump is promising the biggest bailout in American history in an effort to rescue the U.S. economy from the coronavirus pandemic. More communities are now clamping down on gatherings. Hospitals are begging for more protective equipment as the death rate has now climbed to more than 100. Natalie Brand has the latest from the White House.
With more businesses closing their doors and furloughing workers, the White House is asking for a massive economic stimulus package. Some estimate it could top $1 trillion. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin says it could include cash or a direct tax rebate sent to adult Americans within a matter of weeks.
The president is determined we will put money back into this economy to protect hardworking Americans and small businesses.
The Senate has vowed to stay in session until members can pass a separate multi-billion-dollar relief package approved by the House that includes paid sick days and emergency leave for those impacted.
My counsel to them is to gag and vote for it anyway, even if they think it has some shortcomings, and to address those shortcomings in the bill that we're in the process of crafting.
Outside of Washington, San Francisco and parts of Southern California look like ghost towns. Residents are only allowed out of their homes to go to the grocery store or a doctor's appointment. Tuesday, the mayor of New York City suggested the Big Apple may go into lockdown within 48 hours. Here at the White House, President Trump spoke to restaurant and tourism executives, 2 of the industries hardest hit by this ongoing crisis. He also talked to retail suppliers, thanking them for their efforts to keep shelves stocked. On the front lines, hospitals fear a shortage of ventilators. In Albany, Georgia, healthcare workers say they may run out of masks, gowns, and gloves.
What normally takes us 6 months, we've gone through in just 1 week.
Today, Vice President Mike Pence urged construction companies to donate their N95 masks. One San Francisco Bay Area construction company heard the call.
And we know they're in a dire need for masks.
The Department of Defense has also announced it will donate 5 million surgical masks and 2,000 ventilators to help healthcare workers treat patients. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
The coronavirus outbreak also keeping many voters home. Ohio postponed its primary, but the election still went on in other states, with former Vice President Joe Biden capturing the 2 biggest prizes, and that would be Illinois and Florida. He beat Bernie Sanders handily in both those states. We've also learned he just was projected to win Arizona. Those wins put Biden ahead of Sanders by almost 300 delegates as he tries to lock up the Democratic nomination. Governor Steve Bullock also held a conference call today to address new efforts to respond to COVID-19, focusing on the economic impact and an update on test kits. Employees affected by the COVID-19 response can immediately access state unemployment insurance without the 7-day waiting period. As well, employers filing claims won't be charged to their specific account. The changes also extend the time for employers to file wage and unemployment reports. Employers can apply for up to $2 million in 30-year loans with a 3.75% interest rate. And uninsured Montanans with COVID-19 symptoms that test positive will have their costs covered by the state or federal government.
We know that the lack of health insurance often results in the delay of seeing a doctor or being turned away, which could further fuel the pandemic and put other Montanans at risk. If confirmed positive for COVID-19, state funds, with the potential for federal, still not sure, but it will be used to cover treatment costs.
Governor Bullock also relayed an important website during that news conference. If you have any questions about financial assistance, go to montanaworks.gov. Again, that's montanaworks.gov. cdc.gov. Health officials in Billings urging people to take this virus seriously and practice social distancing. Now, the hope is that will prevent a large outbreak that could possibly overwhelm hospitals and put even more lives in danger. This afternoon, officials with the Unified Health Command held a news conference. The CEOs of both Billings hospitals talked about the steps that are being taken to deal with suspected coronavirus patients and also protect the other patients.
That economic injury worksheet helps us establish the overall economic impact for our community.
And we apologize, that is not the correct soundbite there. But Billings Clinic CEO Scott Elner says that they do have more than 50 ventilators right now and 70 ICU beds. They are also canceling all elective surgeries for the time being. A centralized testing site is being worked on. That would perhaps be at the Metro. Another thing that was mentioned is that because of all of this, we are now facing a severe blood shortage. So they're asking people who can to contact Vitalant and give blood. Today, Carbon County announced that it is closing bars and restaurants with the exception of those that serve carryout for 1 week. Yellowstone County did the same thing yesterday. That decision left business owners wondering what to tell their employees, as many have been forced to make the change to delivery service or suspend operations altogether. County officials today are offering the first steps for financial assistance to help businesses affected by the health officer order to close. Q2's Mitch Legge has more on that.
Well, Russ, the county commissioners, County Disaster and Emergency Services, Big Sky Economic Development, and the Billings mayor all met today to provide the first steps to get business owners some financial relief. Billings Mayor Bill Cole said that it could be weeks or months before things approach normal again. But the decision to close was made in an effort to flatten the curve of COVID-19 in Yellowstone County. All businesses, schools, or events that have been canceled or postponed should fill out a one-page form to get the ball rolling on financial aid. The form is called an economic injury worksheet. It asks for information like name, address, date the impact began, and whether the event or business had to be closed or canceled. One form per event needs to be completed and sent to 2 different email addresses. Officials urged that this should be done as soon as possible. The information collected will be used to apply for state and federal aid. There are more steps for business owners to take after that. Information will be available in the coming days from Big Sky Economic Development on how to apply for disaster loans from the Small Business Administration.
That economic injury worksheet helps us establish the overall economic impact for our community. There will be, unfortunately, another step in the process to meet your individual business needs that have been impacted. If you need assistance at all, if you pull up that worksheet and it is just not making sense to you, which can happen to me. If you need assistance in completing that form, you can send a quick email to contact@bigskyeda.org and we will help you. Give us your contact information, we'll get on the phone with you, we'll walk through that information with you.
And Arviskow said that there will be a time when the Billings community needs to show up and support our local businesses. Leaders urged the public to get informed from the right sources, like the Centers for Disease Control website. To find links to the economic injury worksheet and more information from county leaders, find this story at ktvq.com.
All right, thanks, Mitch. And data from those forms will be compiled into a map accessible by the public to see the economic impact of the COVID-19 response across the state. Well, in response to the virus, restaurants in Billings are taking more precautions to ensure that no germs are spread and also that there's no direct employee-customer contact. We talked to the owner of the 4 Billings Jimmy John's who explained what they're doing.
As of today, the dining areas are closed. You can't eat in the store, but you can come in and pick up. You can take food to go. We can operate our drive-thrus, and then we can do our delivery. We're doing no cash on deliveries, so the drivers aren't interacting with the cash from the customers. We're doing no contact deliveries. So if you want to place an order online or over the phone, you use your card, you tell us, leave at the front door, leave on the front step, call me when you drop it off. We love that, we'll do it.
And Jimmy John's will remain open with the option to use the drive-thru at the Heights and Shiloh locations. All the locations, however, will be ready to deliver safely without any customer contact. As we told you a little bit earlier, Billings health officials urging people to take this virus very seriously. Now, they held a news conference earlier with the Unified Health Command to talk about what they are doing, what the hospitals are doing to deal with suspected coronavirus patients and also protect the other patients.
Also be able to go to one access point where we have built infrastructure to isolate patients who potentially may be carrying the virus, keep them away from other patients within our hospital, and only allow them exposure to people who have protective equipment.
Our healthcare capacity in Yellowstone County, while it is really great, it's one of the really strong healthcare centers in the United States, it is still limited. And if we get overwhelmed, we're not going to be able to take care of all of our patients. And at the same time, we have to realize that this is not just about COVID. It's about our trauma patients, about our heart patients, it's about the oncology patients, and the older person that gets sick with a urinary tract infection. So all of these things have to play into this as we look at it.
Also, Montana's Motor Vehicle Division is changing its policies to address coronavirus risk. Attorney General Tim Fox made the announcement today that the MVD is suspending all non-commercial driving tests for 30 days and limiting the number of people in waiting areas at MVD offices. Fox and Governor Bullock also announced they'll give a 90-day extension to drivers whose licenses are set to expire in March, April, and May. It's not clear yet what the coronavirus concerns will mean for the October Real ID deadline. Senator Steve Daines has been asking the federal government to give Montana another extension, and he introduced a bill to delay enforcement in response to the coronavirus. All right, we want to turn to Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire now. And Bob, we're actually talking about some snow totals today.
Yeah, because, you know, we had such a nice day. We had, well, can't talk much about the weather. It's pretty nice. So let me talk about some of the snow totals we've been doing so far. So let me show you what we've been doing. Here in the Billings area, we've had 44.4 inches of snow all this winter. You'll notice that means we're right close to normal. Normal is 39.7, so we're just about 4.7 inches ahead of normal. Last year at this time, we were at over 60 inches of snow. That's right. Glasgow, they had 30 inches, and they're very close to normal. Normal is 29.7, and you'll notice Great Falls, that's your big winner, 85.3 inches of snow so far this year, this season, I should say. Normal is 45, so they're about almost 40 inches ahead of normal. Last year at this time, we were almost 70 inches. Havers at 63 and Bozeman's at 46.9. Havers basically about 32 inches ahead of normal, and it looks like Bozeman's about 21 inches ahead of normal. We'll have the rest of the forecast. Could see a little snow in the Billings area again later tonight. We'll chat about it in a few more minutes.
All right, thank you, Bob. Well, many businesses are shutting their doors right now. Owner Skip King of the new Evergreen Ace Hardware believes his store can remain open and still maintain social distancing. The only downfall, the store is no longer offering free popcorn. Propane supplies and batteries are two of the hardest hit items, but King says he's still able to fill all of his orders. He says with people staying at home, it's the perfect time to tackle that home repair project or get the garden planted. He says last Saturday was one of the busiest days that new store has seen. And a couple of stores also announcing changes to make shopping easier for seniors. Target will be open just for seniors from 7 a.m. until 8 a.m. each morning. And Albertsons will have a special hours for seniors reserved from 7 until 9 a.m. That will be on both Tuesdays and Thursdays. All right, still to come on the 10 o'clock news, we're going to hear from one Billings woman who says she had all the symptoms but was turned away twice for a COVID-19 test. And in sports, she's a college basketball player of the year, working to one day become your dentist. We'll introduce you to this week's Athlete of the Week.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.